Hello, this is X-Rays, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. My name is Miles, and we have a guest today who's become a really familiar face and voice here on X-Rays. And honestly, every time he joins us, my notebook fills up faster than my morning coffee cup. For more than 40 years, he's been working with organizations across the globe to help them strengthen their people, refine their systems, and build real sustainability, not just the buzzword kind, okay? He leads ACI Global, an ISO certified international educational learning services provider, and a founding member of the Global Reporting Initiative, or GRI. They have this powerful idea that people, competence, skill, and capability are the true engines of any organization's excellence. And when you accelerate the growth of people, you accelerate everything else. So, today we're diving into an important pillar of ACI Global's work, understanding the needs and expectations of their interested parties, which is a core requirement of ISO 21001. And I'm happy to welcome back the Managing Director and CEO of ACI Global and e-Quip, Ian Erskine. Hi, Ian.
Yes. Hi, Miles. And look, it's great to be back. And yes, and it's been a hectic couple of days for me. As I said, I've been to Perth and back and had a nice sleep on the plane back home over the early morning flight into
Uh-huh.
Sydney and looking so much to this. And yes, and you're right. It's an incredible journey, but it keeps what's the word? It keeps throwing up those exciting little challenges along the way. And I guess that's one of the things that we all always make quite abundantly clear to not just our interested parties, but also one of our core interested parties and stakeholders are our learners. And that's one of the core things that we discuss with them at their very start of their learning journey for them to become high achievers is they have to be prepared for the challenges that are thrown their way. And, and it's interesting when I got off the plane in Perth on early Monday morning, I walked in and I was greeted by the car share company and they said, "Oh, we don't have any record that you're picking up the car, Mr. Erskine."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "No, it was all filled in online and all been done and all confirmed. I've got the information there," and I showed her the information. And anyway, she said, "Oh, but your credit card's not up to date." And I said, "No, that's all been updated." And then it was interesting. One of the other ladies that was not too far out of earshot said, "Blasted AI's at it again." And so we all had a chuckle. And I just happened to say that no, look, what you should do is go onto the ACI Global website and have a look at our course on understanding ChatGPT, and you might understand where these issues are coming from.
Right.
And yes, so that's just an interesting little sidelight that
It
threw a
is.
challenge in my pocket, and then to cap it all off, they sent me first off to the wrong car, so I was getting everything set, and the young lady rushed up, saying, "No, no, no, Mr. Erskine, it's a car just two or three down." I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Yes, but this is all the information you've given me."
Uh-huh.
And she said, "No, that's wrong as well." Oh, God. But anyway, but
Anyway,
yeah, so
yes, you look quite fresh for someone who's been everywhere, so busy.
yes, yes, no, no,
Yeah.
no. I was able to have a shower and refresh before I got on the plane to come back late last night. And like I said, very excited to do this episode because, like we're saying, interested parties or stakeholders, they're they're the ones that actually will make your business. And like I said, our core stakeholders and interested parties are our learners. And every learner is different, but every learner wants to do the very best for themselves personally. So again, when we talk about why is this so important, again, that goes back to our alliance with the GRI, ethics, openness, and transparency. Do
Mm-hmm.
it once, do it right. And again, that philosophy with TQM total quality management is just so, so important.
Yeah. Well, first, thank you so much again for joining us, Ian. Especially today, we're unpacking this topic, which is very fundamental in the world of educational organizations and ISO standards. As we know, it's a topic you can talk about with remarkable clarity and experience, I would say, because you've lived it, you've built it, and you continue to advance with it. So, going back to what I've learned, you've spent over 4 decades helping organizations strengthen their people, their systems, and ultimately their sustainability. When you look at ISO 21001 focus, Ian, on interested parties, how do you define who these key stakeholders really are for ACI Global, and why is getting that clarity so essential to everything you do?
Well, it is so essential because if they don't match your, first of all, your vision, that's what our core business is all about. What we set out to do is to improve people's capabilities and get them to become high achievers. If they don't fit that, everything falls over. Okay. Now, number one, we have a mission to achieve our vision. So if we by mistake select an incorrect interested party, and I guess one of those now is one where we're toying how we deal with AI and generative chat GPT and so forth. And we continually can come back to the point, are they actually meeting our vision?
Uh-huh.
And if I answer it truthfully, the answer to that is no, because it's making our mission harder to achieve our vision.
Mhm.
Because again, going back to your introduction, when you maintained or said people are our core focus, yes, people are our core focus. And if I see that being eroded, that makes our job that much harder. And then it disappoints me even greater because I can see our learners, in fact, are being not only confused, they're being compromised in this whole mad rush to go one way, whereas we stop and say, well, hold on a minute. What we're talking about is human intelligence, right? And in actual fact, human intelligence is one of our core interested parties. Because if we don't protect that human intelligence, everything will fall over.
And from a business perspective, going back to clarity, they say clarity on who you serve always shapes how you serve. So it reminds me a bit of marketing, Ian. Once you know your customer, everything else becomes more intentional. I mean, it starts there. And once those stakeholders are identified, expectations can vary widely. So, from learners and auditors to corporate partners and even regulatory bodies, how does ACI Global practically capture, understand, and align with these different expectations, Ian, in a way that still keeps your mission and standards front and center?
Well, this is, I guess, where again they've got to align with our core aspirations, our principles, our
Yeah.
ethics, right? And I guess this is where we run them through the pestle and the SWOT analysis process. And this is becoming an even more intense process because when you discuss it with, when we have this discussion with our other stakeholders, it becomes even more important for them as well because all our stakeholders have a holding within ACI Global and e-Quip. So it's in their intentions and for their best serving is that they fully understand and appreciate the work we put into not only selecting our interested parties and our key stakeholders, but ensuring we maintain that balance, that relationship, because everything we do on a daily basis, things are changing all the time. So not only does ACI Global and eQuip have to change and move, so do our interested parties and our stakeholders. But above all, our learners are having to uh, understand change. And again, I constantly remind people the little book Who Moved My Cheese. And this is so stark in today's society is change is there. And I see it literally every day where someone will sit with me and the disappointment, even the sadness is palpable in some of these people because they just can't comprehend why this is changing in the manner and the speed it is. And we often then, I take them right back to the very start. Who are you? What is your core vision in life? Right? And they always say, I want to do the very best for myself and my family. Excellent. We're on the right path. So now we have to ensure that your mission to achieve that is in place, but above all, robust enough to be able to take these constant challenges, which is coming from all sides, to try and or endeavour to push us off the road, so to speak, to achieve our goals. And
Mhm.
again, that's what I'm saying, the pestle, the SWOT analysis. And again, the whole focus of that is coming back on people, on
Yeah.
human intelligence, right? But even more so now, we're now talking about personal identification of information,
Mhm.
personal information, PII. And openly, this is being talked about around the world now is that it's becoming almost nigh impossible to trace, not only trace, but look at that information and return it if asked, because
Yeah.
again, I go back to people. It's our human intelligence that is being captured in this process of AI and ChatGPT, right? And if we remain with that core focus and say, wow, it's our human intelligence, no, that has to be protected at every step of the way.
Right.
And look, one of the core, I guess, aspirations from myself as the managing director of ACI and e-Quip is for us to remain focused, look at bringing on some additional interested parties that can assist us in this process because
Mhm.
technology is moving so quickly, we can't simply stick our head in the sand and say, no, no, push it away and so forth. It's there, it's done, let's deal with it and put it, as I say, and this is where people then turn from being sad and disoriented to excited because I put the ball back in their game because everything is up to our learners.
Yeah.
Everything is up to our own human intelligence. We can move the world if we collectively work together and strive to achieve the very best in everything we do.
Mhm.
And that's why people matter, not machines.
Mhm. Well, it's really a race between tech and people. I mean, machines versus humans. And alignment within the organization is indeed critical, Ian, so as not to get derailed from your core mission and values. And a lot of organizations try to please everyone, and they end up losing themselves in the process, I guess. What you're describing is a much more structured way of staying true to purpose while still listening closely. And one of the many things I've always admired about ACI Global is how your accelerating continuous improvement, or ACI, really puts the people or people at the center of organizational excellence. How does understanding the needs of your interested parties directly influence the way you shape your programs, from competency development to personal certification pathways?
Well, I guess this again. We've been forced to change. Certainly not kicking and screaming, but we certainly have had to acknowledge where we're at now. And one of our core focuses is we're looking at people, we're looking at their skills, we're looking at their collective tasks that they do each day. Now, what we're now doing is sitting each of these people down and we take them through every task that they do in each day while they're at work, including before they leave home, right? And when they get back home. Now, so we step them through every step of that way, and it's quite amazing. A lot of them are coming back and telling me what I'm meant to be doing in this task, I'm unable to complete that task in time, because not only do I run out of time, but the other person that I work with might not have completed all her tasks and hasn't even got to part of the tasks that she's involved in with the other employee.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where these things then start to fall down. So what we're doing, we're now starting to focus back down to individuals' key performance indicators, KPPIs,
Uh-huh.
and we're looking at their collective tasks each day to ensure that not only do they complete all those tasks successfully, they have to be in a position at the end of the day where they go home with their minds completely uncluttered so that they can
Mm-hmm.
concentrate on their families and and being ultra to their family beliefs,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm finding, the way things are going, is people are having their tasks cluttered. They're unable to complete their tasks on time
Mm-hmm.
and, above all, to what they would expect perfection, right? And some become so disappointed in themselves with me. I've got to actually take them back, pick them up on the journey and say, no, this is part of professional development
Mm-hmm.
and part of accelerating continuous improvement. So we always come back to ACI. And now it's almost a buzzword when I walk into a room. People say, AI. No, we don't need AI. We need ACI.
Yeah.
And once people understand what ACI stands for, accelerating continuous improvement, it all comes together and they become collectively excited because they know as a group, as a team, they can achieve much more than individually, right? But above all, if they concentrate on their core strengths and their core beliefs, they will continue to pick that ladder back up again, climb it up quicker, and become high achievers.
Yeah. It's like holistic process that they go through. I mean, it speaks to something I hear from a lot of our guests here on X Rays, Ian. When you invest in people, the ROI shows up everywhere. Better skills, better performance, better confidence, and businesses feel that ripple effect, I guess. And speaking of performance, you've often said that competence, skills, and capability are the true engines of organizational sustainability. Can you walk us through how listening to the needs of your learners, clients, and industry partners actually transforms into measurable improvements, both for individuals and the organizations they serve?
Certainly I can, and it's coming out loud and clear more so now because, like I said, there's so much clutter out there for not just employees and people to deal with. That's also there for organisations to deal with as well. But we go back to the core. It's people that matter. If your people aren't performing, your organisation will not perform. So again, we're taking people right from the very start of their jobs, onboarding and induction processes, and then going through their core tasks, making sure they're all identifiable, right? But above all, they're being monitored because again, changes in our life. Who moved my cheese? Things change in people's lives. People change in an organisation's life. So we all have to be prepared for change. So your key tasks and your skills and your capability have to be built, developed, and have to be robust enough to take the changes that you are inevitably going to confront during your daily tasks, right? And and it's even going back to the basics where you sit down together and you have a discussion, you listen to what the other person's saying, You watch their facial reactions and their movements, the tone of their voice, because this all makes up the messaging which you're moving up to your brain, to your human intelligence, and that is churning it around and giving you guidance of what questions you might like to ask in response, or what response you have if you might be totally in disagreement, right?
Uh-huh.
You have to be prepared to take what your brain is telling you and say, well, no, that's not right. That's ethically wrong. You have to translate that into words and discuss that with whoever you're talking with. And that's where people become collectively high achievers, because they learn, they work, and they face off against each other and challenge each other. Well, I'm going to beat you to the top rung of the ladder. No, you're not. Oh, I'm going to get there first.
Yeah.
And you collectively challenge each other along the way
Mm-hmm.
in the skills you're developing, the tasks that you have, the time you deliver those tasks, and that all comes back to what we're talking about, because people are our most important interested party and stakeholder in everything we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a healthy, competitive way to reach
Yes,
the team
yes.
goal. And absolutely, we have to be adaptive to change because it's inevitable. And that creates real, tangible transformation. And thank you for walking us through that. I think a lot of leaders underestimate how quickly performance improves when learning is tailored to real needs, especially of the people in the organization, rather than assumptions. So, looking ahead, Ian, as ACI Global continues as a founding member of the GRI and the champion of ISO 26000 values, what emerging expectations are you seeing from your global stakeholders today? And how are you and your team evolving to meet those expectations while preparing professionals to become the leaders of tomorrow?
Well, this is becoming a challenge for everyone because, again, and I put it this way: there's so much chatter out there, there's so much confusion, different ideas, different things that are being thrown to us within social media. There's reports come through, and I go back to the vision of those, that one person standing up on